My name is Sarah, and I've always been the girl who stood on the sidelines, watching life unfold around me. At 25, I had never been in a relationship. I was the friend who cheered on others as they fell in love, the one who listened to their stories of romance and heartbreak. But this year, everything was about to change. Little did I know Valentine's Day would bring me an experience I would never forget. A night filled with terror, secrets, and a love that was anything but sweet. As February approached, the air grew thick with the scent of roses and chocolate. Heart-shaped decorations adorned every store, and couples strolled hand in hand, their laughter echoing in the crisp winter air. I felt a pang of envy as I watched them, wishing for a love story of my own. My friends urged me to put myself out there, to try dating apps or join social events, but I hesitated, afraid of the vulnerability that came with opening my heart. On the eve of Valentine's Day, I decided to treat myself. I bought a box of chocolates and a bottle of wine, planning a cozy night in. As I settled on the couch, I scrolled through social media, my heart sinking as I saw post after post of happy couples. Just as I was about to turn off my phone, a message popped up from an unknown number. "Hey Sarah, it's Jake from the coffee shop. I've seen you there a few times. Would you like to go out tomorrow?" My heart raced. Jake was charming, with a smile that could light up a room. I'd always admired him from afar, but I never thought he would notice me. I quickly typed a response, my fingers trembling with excitement. "Sure, I'd love to." Valentine's Day arrived, and I spent the morning preparing for my date. I wore a red dress that hugged my curves and applied just the right amount of makeup. As I looked in the mirror, I felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. This was my chance to experience love, even if just for a night. Jake picked me up in a sleek black car, and I felt a thrill as I climbed in. We drove to a quaint little restaurant, the ambiance warm and inviting. Over dinner, we laughed and shared stories, and I felt a connection I had never experienced before. As the night wore on, I found myself leaning closer to him, captivated by his charm. After dinner, Jake suggested we take a walk in the nearby park. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an ethereal glow over the path. As we strolled, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. But then, something shifted. The air grew colder, and an unsettling feeling crept into my mind. "Do you believe in love at first sight?" Jake asked, his voice low and serious. I chuckled nervously. "I don't know. I think love takes time to grow." He smiled, but there was something in his eyes that sent a shiver down my spine. Sometimes, love can be unexpected. As we walked deeper into the park, the atmosphere changed. The laughter of couples faded, replaced by an eerie silence. The trees loomed overhead, their branches twisting like skeletal fingers against the night sky. I felt a knot form in my stomach. "Jake, maybe we should head back." "Haka," I suggested, glancing around nervously. He stopped and turned to me, his expression shifting. "Why? It's a beautiful night. Don't you want to enjoy it?" Before I could respond, I heard a rustling in the bushes nearby. My heart raced as I turned to look, but there was nothing there, just the wind whispering through the trees. I took a step back, feeling uneasy. "Let's go back," I insisted, my voice trembling. Jake's demeanor changed. He stepped closer, his eyes darkening. "You're not scared, are you? It's just a little adventure." I felt trapped, a sense of dread washing over me. "I think I want to go home." Suddenly he grabbed my wrist, his grip tight. "You don't understand, do you? This is just the beginning." Panic surged through me as I tried to pull away, but he held me firmly. "You wanted a Valentine's Day to remember, didn't you?" he hissed, his voice low and menacing. I looked around, desperate for help, but the park was empty. The streetlights flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced around us. My heart pounded in my chest as I realized I was alone with a man I barely knew, and he was not the charming guy I thought he was. "Let me go," I shouted, my voice echoing in the stillness. He laughed, a chilling sound that sent shivers down my spine. "You're not going anywhere, Sarah. You wanted love, and I'm going to give it to you." With a surge of adrenaline, I yanked my arm free and turned to run. I sprinted down the path, my breath coming in quick gasps. I could hear him behind me, his footsteps pounding against the ground. The darkness closed in around me, and I felt a wave of terror wash over me. I dashed toward the park entrance, my heart racing. Just as I reached the gate, I glanced back and saw him standing there, a twisted smile on his face. "You can't escape love, Sarah." I burst through the gate and into the street, my heart pounding in my ears. I ran toward the nearest light, my mind racing with fear. I could hear his laughter echoing behind me, a haunting reminder of the nightmare I had stumbled into. As I reached a nearby diner, I pushed through the door, gasping for breath. The warm light enveloped me, and I quickly turned to see if he was following. I spotted him lingering outside, his eyes locked on me, a predator waiting for his prey. "Help! Someone, please!" I cried, my voice trembling. The diner staff rushed to my side, their faces filled with concern. They quickly locked the door and called the police. I sank into a booth, shaking uncontrollably as I tried to process what had just happened. The police arrived shortly after, and I recounted the terrifying events of the night. They assured me that they would find Jake, but I knew I would never feel safe again. Valentine's Day, once a day I longed to experience, had turned into a nightmare I would never forget. As I sat in the diner, surrounded by couples celebrating love, I realized that sometimes the desire for romance can lead us down dark paths. I had wanted a Valentine's Day to remember, but I had learned a valuable lesson. Love can be beautiful, but it can also be terrifying. From that day on, I vowed to be more cautious. I would no longer rush into relationships without knowing the person behind the charm. As I left the diner, I glanced back at the park, a shiver running down my spine. I had escaped, but the memory of that night would haunt me forever.